And what I found in this day and age too is players, they respect each other's personal business, right? They're a close unit as a team, but I think of players around the league, everybody's got their own personal business to take care of. I think players are respectful of that. They don't want to infringe upon anything that's what I would deem personal business. But I also think that I don't think this is a shock to today. I don't think Austin was waking up shocked to the news of the move, but certainly that there were teammates for a long time, and they've got a close personal relationship. And I don't want to speak for Austin at all, but I'm sure as all of us are, you wish them the very best. But you also look forward to what's ahead for us.
Tree, you end up getting Nicholas. Is it Waugh or Roy? Where are we going to go?
Waugh. Now he's even closer to Quebec.
Okay,
now,
so Nicholas.
And he grew
Waugh,
up a Leaf fan. That's what he was saying today.
And Michelli, talk about the players that you have brought in here. Little different look. Michelli, I think, has some skill. He's not a big guy, but it looks. I saw him live a few times last year. I really liked him, and then Waugh has, Best you use the word snot. He's a big guy who plays hard and he can be versatile. Talk about the guys that you brought in here, maybe a little different look.
Yeah, well, Nick is a real good player. He's sort of. I think there's even more opportunity for him here. That's a strong center group that they have in Vegas. Right shot center, long guy. Really has excelled in a defensive role in terms of matchups, playing against good players on the other team, penalty killing. But there's some, he's got good hands. There's some sneaky skill there. Highly competitive player. You look around, teams that win, you need that. We all talk. We all want to put everybody into a box of a first line player, second line player. I think there's a lot of talk about second line centers all over the league right now. But if you don't necessarily, and I'm not speaking just for our situation, but if you don't necessarily have the perfect 1, 2, 3, 4 down the middle. There's lots of teams that the league is all based on matchups, and I think Nick is a guy that can take heavy matchups. If you look at Winnipeg for an example, we won the President's Trophy this year. Where Adam Lowry, I think everybody would consider as a third line center, he really plays in a heavy matchup role. So you've got Scheifele, then you've got Lowry taking heavy matchups. And then you've got Nemesnikov coming in sort of underneath. And, that's where I look at a player like Nick who's able to, if you look at our situation right now with Austin and John, I think he's able to come in and play in a real matchup role. Our series with Florida, again, when you look at how things played out from a match standpoint, Barkov took Austin. Lundell, for the most part, was playing against John, and then Bennett comes in, and when you can get a favorable matchup, and that's an area for us that we really wanted to try to address, is somebody that can come in here and potentially play in a matchup role, handle some penalty killing responsibilities, gives us a right shot center at the face-off dot. So. Been a really good player for Vegas, and I expect him to be a good player for us. And Michelli, as you said, he's a guy who had a down year this year. We think he brings some skill, some creativity. With some of the players in our team, their offensive abilities, I think he could complement. He can complement those players. He was obviously looking for a fresh start, and we'll see. We think the cost was manageable. For some potential upside here, and so I know speaking with him, he's excited to get in here. He's excited to get around our group, so we're looking forward to see what he can bring us.
Brad, we'll get you out of here on a question about those Cup champs. You just referenced that matchup, and they find a way to bring back Bennett, bring back Ekblad, bring back Brad Marchand. We discussed it all day today, and we've been discussing it for weeks. Like, they're clearly the crown jewel of the NHL right now. They're within your division. How often are you thinking of that specific matchup? How you beat Florida when you're building out your roster?
Well, they've set the bar, so you're obviously, you obviously look to them, and they've done a phenomenal job. They're bringing back the same team, so they're the gold standard right now. I think you can't be just laser focused on one particular team, if you will. Now they're the cream of the crop. You got to continue to find ways to make your team better. Where's the areas that you can improve in? What's opportunities are available to you? So everybody in the league knows what Florida's all about. We've seen them now. I wasn't here for the first go around with them a couple of years ago, but had them this year in the playoffs, and they've set, like I said, when you've gone to 3 straight finals and won 2 cups, you set the standard. But I look throughout our division, and I said it a year ago. You have teams that have been in rebuild processes for the last number of years that have taken big steps and are now becoming really good teams. The Ottawas, the Montreals, Detroit and Buffalo continue to improve. Like the division's a really good division. So certainly Florida sits where they sit for a reason. But you go throughout the Atlantic, and there's no easy nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no questioning that, and that's been the case for a long time, and we anticipate it will continue. We know it's a busy time. We always appreciate you finding some for us. Thank you for doing this, Brad.
You bet, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Brad Treliving, GM of the Maple Leafs. Interesting about, Marner, like, getting it out. We tried to engage, and it's his right to control the process. I think he's alluding to the Rantanen trade deadline stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously they've known for a while. And they get Nicholas Waugh in return. Obviously not Mitch Marner. You bring in Michelli, but he's made it clear, like Treliving said, they need to find someone else in their top 6. They need to find an impact player. Like, not, it's going to be a pecking order. You got Matthews, you got Nylander, you got Tavares, you have Nyes, but that's where they're looking to find a way to improve. And
I don't think it's free agency. I think it's having some flexibility to either in the trade market, that type of stuff. I don't know. It's just, hey, Nikolai Ehlers come here for 8 minutes, whatever it is. Like, I don't know. Sounds like the criteria from Ehlers is the exact opposite of the fit here in Toronto. Yeah. That's the one thing, because it sounds like he wants a quieter market, warmer climate, all of that.
Yeah,
that just doesn't fit this situation. But that's where you look at the trade market and say, who can we bring in kind of under the radar to fit in the cap structure that also can be a facilitator to the players that you have already here. Big challenge for them.
And the point Treliving was making today was, basically the whole league is looking for a second line center.
Yeah.
Which is, maybe why they won't get a second line center. A second line winger might be, more likely. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that means Tavares remains in the position he's been in for 7 years.
Right.
It's probably Matthews into Tavares, into Waugh, into Scott Laughton. More than likely. That's probably your 4 centers.
Yeah.
All right. Michael Pezzetta, local guy, signed with the Leafs. He's been in Montreal for years. He will join us. We got Dregs coming up today, MJ coming up today, a full recap of Free Agent Frenzy. Dave Feschuk's in here from the Toronto Star. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.